Continuing my reviews of the Pokémon games, let's take a look back at the late 90s and early 2000s. Like the filthy millennial I am. It was around this time that we were introduced to the second generation of Pokémon, which brought us two of the most influential games in the whole series, Pokémon Gold and Pokémon Silver.
You've conquered Red. You've mastered Blue. You've triumphed over Yellow. You've caught them all. And now you're ready for the next step. Welcome to the world of Pokémon Gold and Silver. Tons of new Pokémon, new adventures and worlds to explore, new badges to collect. So you've got to ask yourself, have you got what it takes?
Remembering back, I had never been more excited for a video game, and I don't think I have been since. And yet again, I think the marketing played a big part in that. Gold and Silver introduced 100 new Pokémon, adding up to a total of 251. And the new Pokémon designs were very cleverly teased across the Pokémon franchise. For example, the anime showed Gold's legendary mascot, Ho-Oh, at the end of its pilot episode, and then went on to have an arc about hatching a baby Togepi. On top of that, the first Pokémon movie showed us a whole bunch of Gen 2 Pokémon before their official releases, such as Snubbull and Donphan, and one image that circulated in gaming magazines was that of the elusive Peekaboo, by which I do of course mean Marill. For some daft reason, we all thought he was called Peekaboo. I don't really understand why. It was back in the day, there was no internet, we were all dumb. So after these honest-to-God years of build-up, I remember staring at my brand new copy of Pokémon Gold. I remember opening the box, putting the cartridge into my Game Boy Color, and then freezing up in fear. I was afraid, genuinely afraid, to switch the game on, and even at the time, I didn't quite understand why. In retrospect, I know exactly what it was. I was terrified of being disappointed by the game, of having the game fall short of my admittedly colossal expectations, and suffice to say, it didn't. It exceeded them. A lot of people contend that Gold and Silver are objectively the best Pokémon games, and while I wouldn't go that far, I can fully see where they're coming from. Gold and Silver are masterpieces. They offer a whole new adventure using the foundation set by the Gen 1 games, all whilst ironing out every single flaw.
The special stat is overpowered!
Fixed. Now it's been split into special attack and special defense.
Psychic types are overpowered!
Fixed. We've now introduced Dark and Steel type Pokemon to counter and resist Psychics respectively. On top of that, Ghost type Pokemon actually are super effective against Psychics now. The fact that they weren't before, yeah, that was an error.
Multi-hit moves like Wrap, Bind and Fire Spin are overpowered!
Fixed, fixed and fixed. Now they're just trapping moves that do small amounts of damage.
Glitches?
Fixed.
Not being able to play as a girl.
Okay, first of all, what the hell voice is that? And, wait a second. Oh, wow. Oh, jeez. Have we let that slide? Hey, Game Freak? Someone? Can we get that sorted? Kind of alienating 50% of our audience on that one. So let's take a proper look at these games. Both Gold and Silver open up with an entertaining cinematic, which took full advantage of the revolutionary Game Boy Color. No more boring monochrome adventures or hand cramps from holding what was essentially a brick. Now you can play the game using just 2 AA batteries. Or maybe, just maybe, with a rechargeable battery pack.
You haven't been flossing. You haven't been flossing.
Get a job.
Escape to a world of color for each and every Game Boy game.
After the intro, you're greeted with a title screen featuring the legendary mascot of whichever game you were playing. The fiery Ho-Oh if you played Gold, or the psychic Lugia if you played Silver. Unlike the original games, Gold and Silver immediately got you hyped for the big legendary encounters, which later became something of a reoccurring trend. So getting into the swing of things, Gold and Silver takes place in the Johto region, located directly west of Gen 1's Kanto. And much like the original games, your new protagonist, Ethan, is tasked with travelling across the region at the behest of a Pokémon professor. Professor Elm, in this case. Once again, you have to defeat 8 gym leaders, catch a ton of Pokémon, take down a newly reformed Team Rocket, and become the league champion. All that jazz. But to stop things getting stale, there are a lot of new elements thrown in for good measure. The first big change is the introduction of a day and night system. When you first begin the game, you are asked to set the time and the day of the week, which allows the game to introduce weekly or daily events, like the bug catching contests on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, or the appearance of helpful NPCs on certain days of the week, and the appearance of nocturnal and diurnal Pokémon. Diurnal. I just went out of my way to learn a new word thanks to this video. Go me. On top of that, the rival in this game is no longer your egocentric friend. Instead, you get Silver, a power-tripping thug who steals his starter Pokémon, looks down on those he deems weak, and treats Pokémon like weapons. He's far more antagonistic than any other rival in the whole series, and he even has a character arc in becoming less of a tool, so good on him I guess. Other Gold and Silver highlights include the introduction of Pokémon breeding, which allowed players to acquire Pokémon eggs and baby Pokémon, the ability to have your Pokémon hold items such as berries to give themselves an edge in battle, ultra rare encounters with shiny Pokémon, trading Pokémon from red, green, blue and yellow using a time machine, encountering and possibly catching your overpowered legendary bird before you even finish the game, and think I'm missing something. Something massive. Oh yeah, when you become the Pokémon champion, you can revisit Kanto in its entirety, collecting 8 more badges, scaling the perilous Mount Silver, and facing off in an ultimate showdown against Red, the protagonist from the original games. It is the best post-game in the entire series. Essentially, you were getting 2 Pokémon games for the price of one, and it was bloody amazing. Highly recommended to pretty much everyone, so long as you don't mind a slightly wonky difficulty curve. Not to name names, but some of the gym leaders in this game are pretty ridiculous. And so, we get to the part of the video where we take a very brief look at the spin-offs before moving on to the definitive Gen 2 game. And let me tell you, there's a rich vein. I mean, you had a puzzle game for the Game Boy, Pokémon Mini, which were basically LCD games, and oh hey, don't forget Hey You Pikachu, the game where you talk to Pikachu. Everybody wants to talk to Pikachu. Pokémon Stadium 2.
So, you want to use your gold and silver skills in a 3D world. Well, here's a thought. Now you can get Pokémon Stadium 2, the only place you can upload your Game Boy Pokémon onto your N64 and battle with over 250 characters in 3D. You've got skills. Save them for the game.
Pokémon Stadium 2, or Pokémon Stadium Gold and Silver, as it was called in Japan, was the last game in the Stadium series, and it ended on a strong note. It boasted a gym leader castle for both Johto and Kanto, as well as a bunch of whole new minigames, most of which were absolutely adorable, and coolest of all, the option to emulate all of your Game Boy Pokémon games with a speed up feature. Once again, I never had an N64 growing up, but if I'd known that was a possibility, I'd have given my PlayStation the boots. I would definitely check this game out, especially if you want to enjoy some classic Pokemon gameplay without all that pesky adventuring malarkey. And now, let's move straight on to Pokemon Crystal, the first game in the main series where you can play as a girl. Woo! Yeah! Why wasn't that the standard to begin with?
Here it is, guys. Think you can unlock the mystery of the unknown?
What do you think those strange markings mean? Just help me push.
You can enter the world of Pokemon Crystal, the latest adventure in the Gold and Silver series with an all-new Pokedex. Plus, you can log on to Pokemon.com, solve puzzles, and get cool stuff.
Pokemon Crystal follows the trend started by Pokemon Yellow of having a definitive title. A remake that introduces a ton of improvements and brings its generation to a close. But what's strange about Crystal is its choice of mascot. Crystal focuses a lot more on Suicune, one of the 3 legendary dogs whose role in Pokemon Gold and Silver was somewhat understated. Why Suicune is the star of the show and not either of its counterparts is anybody's guess, but it's a cool Pokemon anyway, so whatever. Anyways, in the same way that Pokemon Yellow redrew all of the red and blue sprites, Crystal stepped things up a notch by animating the Gold and Silver sprites, giving every Pokemon a little introductory shimmy upon their arrival. This seems like nothing by today's standards, but back then, these little touches brought the game to life and gave every single Pokemon a ton of character. And aside from that, there aren't that many major changes, aside from the odd in-game event, and the series debut of the notoriously difficult, yet completely optional, Battle Towers. For the most part, Crystal is just a slightly prettier release of Gold and Silver. I mean, it's still mind-blowingly great, don't get me wrong, it's just a little bit redundant. But why is this? There's a very good reason, one which I'm pretty sure most people don't know. You see, Crystal was Pokemon's first ever foray into the wonderful world of wireless connectivity. You know, arguably the most prominent feature in modern Pokemon games. How did they achieve this? Through mobile phones in Japan. Pokemon Crystal made use of a paid service called Mobile System GB. By hooking up to a compatible phone using a mobile Game Boy adapter, Japanese players could engage in long-distance Pokemon battles and trades. Not only that, but they could also gain access to in-game events, like an encounter with Celebi, the first example of a Pokemon that Westerners straight up couldn't find without cheating or attending a distribution event. This feature never made it overseas because, well, not a lot of kids owned mobile phones, which essentially left us with a slightly watered down version of Crystal. However, and I am taking a shot in the dark here, it may be possible that a virtual console re-release of Crystal on a modern Nintendo device could fully realise Crystal's potential. Maybe, maybe not, likely not. The important thing that we take away from all this is that Pokemon Generation 2 owns bones. It was great for its time, and it still holds up pretty well today. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this video. You're probably expecting me to make a Gen 3 review next, but consistency be damned, I have unfinished business. I'm going to remake an LP of mine that was cut tragically short. A ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald that allows me to catch all 386 available Pokemon. So, stick around if you want to watch that, and as for the Gen 3 spin-offs, I'll probably cover those in a separate video. As always, thank you very much for your support, and take care.